have to put on socks just in case, because you never know. I don't want anyone seeing my feet. Okay, so I'm going on a book buying ban, and it's because it's been ridiculous. So I've been collecting books for like a year now, and I've been slowly going through them, kind of. I mean, there's books that I've bought 2 years ago that I still haven't read. I'm gonna put all the books on my bed in like piles, and I'm gonna go through all my physical TBR, and I'm going on a book buying ban. But okay, wait, I'm not counting new releases, because you best know when Reckless comes out and Powerful comes out, I'm buying those. I don't care. I'm going to put all my physical TBR on my bed, right next to my Squishmallows. I'm 27 years old and I still love the Squishmallows. Okay. I'm getting so old. There's a lot of books here. Oh God, I hope they don't fall. Don't fall. Oh, they're falling. All of them. Okay. And now what? I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start with this pile here, and this pile is thrillers/mystery. The first book on my physical TBR is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I've heard really good things about this book, and I definitely plan on reading it during October, because I like making videos reading thrillers around that time. I did that last year and it was really, really fun. It really got me in the Halloween spooky mood. It says, after posting a negative book review, a woman living in a remote location begins to wonder if the author is a little touchy or very, very dangerous. So this girl literally reads this thriller book and she leaves a review. Like think of somebody on Goodreads. They're on Goodreads and leaving a bad review of this author that wrote this thriller book, and then the author is like coming after them. Someone starts coming after them and she assumes it's the author, right? Yeah, soon after she posts the review, disturbing incidents start to occur that night. To Emma, this just can't be a coincidence. It was strange enough for this author to bicker with her online about a lousy review. Could he be stalking her too? So that's what this book is about, and it's fairly short, and I'm definitely going to be reading this around October because I want to read all my thrillers around that time. Hopefully I can. I'm just gonna... And the next thriller I have is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I always say that last name wrong. This book is actually in my March/April TBR, so I'm definitely going to be reading it. So this is the same author as The Silent Patient, and as you guys know, I absolutely love that book. It was one of the first thrillers that I ever read, and it was just so good. It really got me. It really got me. Fury is about an ex-movie star named Alana Farrar. She's one of the most famous women in the world, and every year she invites her closest friends to escape the English weather and spend her Easter on her idyllic private Greek island. I tell you this because you may think you know the story. You probably read about it all the time. It caused a real stir in the tabloids, if you remember. It had all the necessary ingredients for a press sensation: a celebrity, a private island cut off by the wind, and a murder. The story is told by a character named Elliot Chase, and I've heard that the way like he tells this story is really cool, because he'll like be saying something and he'll kind of go into detail about something, and he's like, oh, like let me back up, let me tell you more about this part. Again, it looks pretty short. I've just been reading really long books lately, so I'm excited that they're like shorter. And the next book I have, I'm so surprised I have not read it yet, because this is one of the first books I got like a year and a half ago, Verity by Colleen Hoover. I've never read a Colleen Hoover book before, and I've heard that this one, I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard it's either really good, it's like a plot twist, or it's like predictable, so I'm not really sure. So this book is about a girl named Lowen, and she's a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job and offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Lowen arrives at the Crawford home ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography that Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night her family was forever altered. Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden, knowing it could devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to continue loving her. Okay, I feel like I already have some thoughts now that I've read the back of this book. So like I said, I'm really excited to read this book because I've heard mixed things, but I think for the most part, people really enjoyed it. And I think this is probably one of everyone's like more favorite Colleen Hoover books. I'm not sure. But yeah, I am excited because I love thrillers because usually there's only one of them. And I've been reading a lot of series lately and I'm kind of tired of it. Speaking of series, I think this is like a thriller slash mystery slash dark academia. I'm not really sure. I have Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I know there's I think this is a trilogy. Illingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont founded by an early 20th century tycoon for the best and brightest students around. When Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped, the only clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. Their disappearances became one of the great unsolved crimes in history. So many years later, Stevie Bell is about to attend the academy and she's determined to solve this cold case. That is, she will solve it when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates, the inventor, the novelist, the actor, the artist, and the jokester. Okay, that reminds me of The Breakfast Club just a little bit. But Truly Devious makes a surprising return. The past has crawled out of its grave and someone has gotten away with murder. So this is a murder mystery trilogy. Yeah, so I've had this book for a long time and I kind of got it when it was on BookTok, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't know why. I just haven't felt like reading it yet. I keep having to get up and I keep sitting back down and they're all gonna fall. Okay, they didn't fall. Okay, cool. Okay, and the next book I have is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I bought this specifically to read in October around Halloween, and I was supposed to do that last year, but I did not do that, so I'm definitely going to be reading it this year. 9 years ago, Vivian Jones nursed her broken heart like any other witch would. Vodka, weepy music, boba baths, and a curse on the horrible boyfriend. Then, Rice Pillinghow, descendant of the town's ancestors, breaker of hearts, and annoyingly just as gorgeous as he always was, returns to Grays Glen, Georgia. What should be a quick trip to recharge the town's ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall fair turns disastrously wrong, with one calamity after another striking Rice. Vivi realizes her silly ex-hex may have not been so harmless after all. Vivi and Rice have to ignore their off-the-charts chemistry to work together to save the town and find a way to break the breakup curse before it's too late. This already sounds like a second chance romance, so I'm excited to read this. I've heard good things about this, and wow, oh my gosh, this text is so big. I've just been reading. Oh, look at the cat. That's so cute. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Anyway, I'm excited to read this in October, right around Halloween. And the next book I have is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. So this book is about a murder that happened when Chloe Davis was 12. 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. By the end of summer, her own father had confessed to the crimes and was put away for life, leaving Chloe and the rest of her family to grapple with the truth and try to move forward while dealing with the aftermath. Now, 20 years later, Chloe's a psychologist getting ready for her wedding. So there's a teenage girl that goes missing, and then there's another teenage girl that goes missing, and that terrifying summer comes crashing back, like in Chloe's mind. Is she paranoid, seeing parallels from her past that aren't actually there? Or, for the second time in her life, is Chloe about to unmask a killer? Anyway, feel free to leave in the comments below if you've read any of these books that I'm talking about, and let me know if you like them, because I would really like to know. This one, I honestly am not sure if I'm ever gonna read it. I'm gonna need someone to hype me up for it, and that's One of Us is Lying by Karen McAdams. So funny enough, when I first got this book, I got this book and A Girl's Good Guide to Murder confused. I got them swapped. I don't know how, but that's when I first started getting into reading again. So I know that this was a show on Peacock, but didn't it get canceled? I'm not sure. So this one is also a lot like The Breakfast Club because you've got the brawn, the beauty, the criminal, and the athlete. So as far as I know, all these kids have detention and one doesn't come out, so one of them died. Before the end of detention, Simon's dead, and according To investigators, his death wasn't an accident. And I know that there's a sequel, and I think that there's a last one, and I think that's kind of why I don't really want to get into another series. Did you guys enjoy this book? If you did, let me know, and maybe I'll actually get to it because I've been putting it off for a very long time. So another thriller that I haven't really seen people talk about this, to be honest. I just kind of grabbed it because I thought it sounded interesting. This is 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards. I really love the cover of this. I thought it was really cool. So this book is about a girl named Mira. She needs to get home for the holidays, but when an incoming blizzard results in a canceled connection flight, it looks like Mira might get stuck at the Philadelphia airport indefinitely. And then Harper, Mira's glamorous seatmate from her initial flight, comes to the rescue. Harper and her 3 friends are renting a car and they can drop off Mira on the way home. But as their trip begins, Mira discovers her fellow travelers aren't friends like she thought. They're total strangers, and every one of them seems to be hiding something dangerous. Soon, Mira is in a panic. The roads have gone from slippery to terrifying. People's belongings are mysteriously disappearing. Someone in the car is clearly lying, and Mira begins to suspect that one of them is sabotaging the trip. If she wants to make it home alive, she'll need to uncover the truth about these strangers before this nightmare drive turns fatal. So it sounds like this is like taking place literally like in the car the whole time. We'll see. I mean, it sounds interesting, and if I end up liking this book, it looks like this author has a lot more thrillers. We're almost done with the thriller section, and then we've got a lot more to go. The next mystery thriller-esque book that I have is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, and I have not read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. As you can see, it's right here. I have not read it yet, but I've heard this one was so good. I think this also takes place in like a car. It says Red Kenny is on a road trip for spring break with her 5 friends, her best friend and her older brother, his perfect girlfriend, a friend from school, and the guy Red wishes was more than a friend, but they won't make it to their destination. When their RV breaks down in the middle of nowhere with no cell service, they soon realize this is no accident. They've been trapped by someone out there in the dark, someone who clearly wants them dead. With 8 hours until dawn, the 6 friends must escape or figure out which one of them is the target. But is there a liar among them? So this takes place in like an 8 hour time. That's crazy. Now I've definitely heard that once you start this book, you just keep going. I've heard it's a very quick read. I've heard all of her books are quick reads and very easy to go through. So I am really excited to read this eventually. I may read it sooner than later. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling. And speaking of Holly Jackson, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I know this is like a really popular book, and I know that this is being turned into a series, so I'm really excited to read it. So we all know what this is about. A senior named Andy Bell, and she's murdered by her boyfriend Sal, and then he killed himself. And then 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now that Pip is a senior herself, she decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project. At first, just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent. And the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life may be in danger. So I feel like I could be way wrong. Is this book... like, we find the culprit in this book, and then there's just another book, and then that's all the thrillers. So the next section I'm going to do here is, since it's right here, I'm going to be getting into my, I feel like dystopian. So this is actually a series. I have Crossed and Reached by Ali Condi. The first book is Matched, and I feel like I don't think a lot of people like read this series. I read the first book and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, but I just haven't had the itch to go and read the next 2 in this series. Matched is about a girl named Cassia, I believe. So when everyone in this society turns 17, they go and get matched. You're not allowed to like love who you want. You have to go get matched. And not only do you get matched by the people in the society, you also like do everything they say. You have like no free will, and you literally can't even wear normal clothes. Like they all wear white shirts and just basic pants. And at first people like think that this is okay and this way of living is like fine. And then our main character Cassia just starts to realize things aren't really as they seem, and she starts to kind of rebel. I think that really signifies in like the covers, because for example, she's like in the bubble and she's like fine with being in the bubble, she's just chilling. But in this one, she's like starting to get out of the bubble, right? Because she's like, I want out of the society. And then in this one, she's like completely out, she's free. If anyone else has read that series, let me know, because I feel like Crossed is going to be kind of a filler, and that's why I don't want to read it. Oh, I missed one in the mystery section. Just go back. Another mystery book that I have is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I got this when it was really like hyped up, and I just have not read it yet. So this is also a trilogy. A girl named Avery Graham, she has a plan for the better future, survive high school, win a scholarship, and get out. But her luck changes in an instant when billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves her his entire fortune. The only catch, Avery must move into a sprawling mansion full of secret passages, riddles, and codes. Unfortunately for Avery, Hawthorne House is also occupied by the family that was just disinherited. This includes the 4 Hawthorne grandsons, dangerous, magnetic boys who grew up with every expectation that one day would inherit billions. Also a trilogy. I think that's why I don't want to read it. I don't want to get into series. I'm sure I'm gonna love this because I love mystery, and I used to play Nancy Drew games growing up, still do sometimes, and I've heard The Naturals by her is really good. I think some people like The Naturals better, but let me know if you've read this series and if you think I should make a reading vlog on it, because I definitely will, and I will break my book buying ban if I have to go buy a second book to something, because that's different, but I'd have to read it first. If I read the first book in a series and I don't have the second book and I really want to go buy the second book, then I will. That's when I'll break my book buying ban. But otherwise, if I haven't read it, then I'm not going to go buy the next book. Okay, we're going back to dystopian now. The next book I have here is 1,000 Heartbeats by Kira Cass. I loved the selection so much, so I really was excited to see this book come out. So this book is about a princess named Annika, and she has lived her life of comfort, but no amount of luxuries can change the fact that her life isn't her own to control. The king, once her loving father, has gone cold, and Annika will soon be forced into a loveless marriage for political gain. Miles away, small comforts are few and far between Lennox. He has devoted his life to helping his people to take back the throne that was stolen from them long ago. For Lennox, the idea of love is merely a distraction. Nothing will stand in the way of his fight. But when love, against all odds, finds them both, they are bound by its call. They can't possibly be together, but the irresistible Thurum of 1,000 Heartbeats won't let them stay apart. That sounds so cute. There's like a little excerpt from the book here on the back. It says, I told myself that it had been rain, it was something hitting the mountain, or a tree falling, or anything else really, but every time Lennox smiled or touched me, or even looked at me a certain way, I would hear it again. The sound of 1,000 heartbeats. Wow, that sounds so cute. I just need to read it. And I think this is also this is dual POV. And speaking of Kira Cass, another book I have by her is The Betrothed. I think this is a duology. I'm not really sure. I got this because I loved Kira Cass so much. And honestly, I really like reading about dystopian worlds, like with princes and princesses. So this book is about, there's like nothing except, it says on the back, a handsome young king, a would-be queen, a perfect match, or is it? So it's probably literally just exactly what it sounds like. She's betrothed. There's really not much. And the next dystopian book I have is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And the reason why I have this is because I have never read The Hunger Games before, and I don't really watch the movies, so I have no idea what the hype is around The Hunger Games, honestly. We all know what The Hunger Games is about. It's about Katniss Everdeen. She volunteers as tribute to fight into the Hunger Games to save her sister from going into the Hunger Games, because the Hunger Game is literally, you could die in it, and that's why she volunteers herself. So yeah, that's what this book is about, and it's a trilogy. I may get around to it soon. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll ever start this series, and I've been so scared to start it, and I want to make a video on this, but I have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, and I've heard a lot of things about this series, and this is a long series. So Juliet's touch is fatal, but the reestablishment has plans for her, plans to use her as a weapon, but Juliet has plans of her own. After a lifetime without freedom, she's finally discovering the strength to fight back for the very first time, and to find a future with the one boy she thought she'd lost forever. And something about this book that's like really interesting is a lot of the words are like scribbled out. It's just like talking, and then like the words get like scribbled out. And I don't know what that really signifies, it just sounds really interesting, and I'm just kind of scared to start it. I think it's mostly because it is such a big series. We're now about to get into fantasy, with the exception of one dark romance book, and that is Scarred by Emily McIntyre. So the cool thing about this series by Emily McIntyre, it's about like Disney villains. So this one, for example, is about Scar from The Lion King. She has another one that's called Hooked, which is obviously Captain Hook. This one, I guess I kind of thought, I was like, are they still lions or are they people? So it sounds like they're people. So Prince Tristan Fossa was never destined for the throne. That was always his brother Michael, the same brother responsible for both Tristan's tormented childhood and the scar that mars his face. When their father dies, Michael is set to assume the throne and Tristan is set to steal it. The leader of a secret rebellion, Tristan will stop at nothing to end his brother's reign. But when Michael's new betrothed, Lady Sarah, arrives, Tristan finds himself in the middle of a new kind of war, the kind that begs the question of what's more important, the crown or the woman about to wear it. So this sounds like it's dual POV. Oh yes, I love dual POV because I like seeing different sides of the story, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think I'm now getting into the fantasy genre now, and the first one I have is, well, this is fantasy, but it's also kind of like just a paranormal love story. So this is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So this book is about a girl named Misery, and she's the daughter of a powerful vampire councilman. She's been living among the humans, and now it's over because she's been called to uphold an alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo, is no exception. He rules his pack and with absolute authority, but not without justice or feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her, if only he knew how right he was. Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience, reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers. My friends have read this and they really enjoyed it, so I don't know. I'm kind of nervous though because I've heard that there's a certain like love scene that's like weird and people have had to like look up what things mean, and I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, and funny enough, the next book I have on my physical TBR is Twilight, because I've never read it. It might be fun to just read for a video or something, but I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to it. But about 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I didn't know how potent that part might be, that thirst for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. Dun dun dun. Okay, and the next book I have, which I'm really excited to read, is The Heart of the Raven Prince by Tanessa Odette. I'm sorry, I'm probably saying that way wrong. This book is like really thick. Like, it just feels heavy. It's about how Faye Ember craves freedom from her conniving stepfamily. As if they weren't enough to deal with, a chance encounter with the arrogant Prince Franco leaves her humiliated and in a fiery rage. Nothing could convince her the prince is anything but a rake? But when the opportunity to evade her scheming stepmother falls into her lap, she'll pay the prince, even if it means impersonating the prince's newest flame. To prove himself a worthy heir, Prince Franco must marry a princess, but after far too many unsatisfying trusts, he's given up on love. With the social season in full swing, and bringing with it a horde of husband-hungry socialites, he'll do anything to delay the pressures of both marriage and crown. But what better solution than an alliance with desperate servant girl glamored as his false future bride? Locked in the bargain, Ember must pose as a princess until midnight at the full moon ball. Until then, all she has to do is wear a glamour, pretend to court the prince, and above all else, not fall in love. I'm gonna eat this up. Can Ember and Franco find love with the masks off? Or will the illusions and lies prove stronger than their hearts? I keep reading the back of these books, and the ones that I'm most excited for are the ones that have like princes and princesses. Okay, this one I've heard very much mixed things about. Lightlark by Alex Astor. And I wanted this one because I've seen it like all over BookTok, and I know that the author was like on a talk show or something talking about this book. It says, every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. To survive, Isla Crown must lie, cheat, and betray, even as love complicates everything. If you guys have read this, let me know, because I'm curious because a lot of people are kind of iffy about it, I think. And the next book I have that I haven't seen many people talk about at all is The Summoning by Kelly Armstrong. And I borrowed this from my sister because I remember I read maybe a little bit of this book. Chloe Saunders used to have a pretty normal life, but that changed on the day she met her first ghost. Locked up in the Lyle House, a group home for troubled teens, she finds out there's more to the home's teen residents than meets the eye. Will Chloe be able to uncover the dangerous secrets of the Lyle House, or will its skeletons come back to haunt her? Just let me know if this is familiar to you, because I know nobody talks about it now, but yeah, I'm gonna read it and see if I like it. And I'm really curious because I definitely want to try to read more books that aren't really that popular, just to kind of find a book that's worth hype to tell people to read, because I think that'd be really cool. And the next two books that I have are Legendary and Finale by Stephanie Garber. I read Caraval not long ago, and I actually really enjoyed it, and a lot of people don't like it that much, and I'm honestly just so like surprised, and I would like to know, I guess, why people didn't like it that much. Like, because I listened to the audio book for the majority of it, but I still really enjoyed the story and the world and the characters. I don't know, I hope it doesn't fall flat in these two, because I really did enjoy it. So Caraval is about a girl named Scarlett, and she is always dreaming about going to this event called Caraval. And so she finally gets invited to the event, but what she doesn't realize is that her sister Donatella has been kidnapped, and the point of the game for Caraval this time is to find Donatella. So not only is Scarlett trying to find Donatella, but a lot of other people are, because they want to get the one wish, because if they win, they get one wish from Legend. So the biggest reason why I decided to jump into Caraval is because I want to read this series before I jump into the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and I want to read that series so bad. You do not have to read the Caraval trilogy first, but I know that the main character in Once Upon a Broken Heart shows up in this book, I believe, in the last book of Caraval. So that's kind of why I want to read it, just to get into the world. And I feel like since I loved Caraval so much, I am really excited to jump into Once Upon a Broken Heart, because I might like it so much more. While I'm here, I might as well talk about the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. My cat clawed this, and I'm so upset about it. It's about a girl named Evangeline Fox, and she's always believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. Desperate to stop the wedding, Evangeline strikes a deal with the charismatic, immortal Prince of Hearts, but she soon discovers that bargaining with the Prince of Hearts is a dangerous game. He has plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end in the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. And you know, it really sucks, because I remember so long ago, I was at a Barnes & Noble, and I saw these books on the table, just these two. I saw these two books on the table, and it was the special editions, and they were signed. And for some reason, I just did not pick them up. I did not pick them up. I don't know why. Oh, we're getting there. We are getting there. Okay, one of my goals, I don't know if I'm going to do it this year. I'm definitely going to do it soon. I would really love to read all of the Harry Potter books, and I just have the two, because my sister owns them. I have not bought them, but she owns all the hardcovers. I don't really know all the things that happen in this series, so I feel like I've read the first one before, and funny enough, I used to play the Harry Potter computer games all the time. I was so heavily addicted to them, and I really liked them, so I guess why not try to read this series? And I think that'd be really, really fun to do a huge Harry Potter reading vlog for someone that has not seen Harry Potter or read the books at all. So I feel like maybe I got like halfway through this one, but I think I was too young and I just gave up. And the next book I have is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book to Divine Rivals, and I'm so scared because I've heard this book was not that good. Divine Rivals is about these two characters. I forget their names. Kit and Iris. Is it Kit and Iris? No, it's Roman. That's his last name. Okay, so they are working at like a newspaper letter, and they kind of report on like the war and things like that. They're trying to get the same promotion, so in that sense they're kind of like rivals. But then Iris has like a lot going on in her personal life. Her brother just went to war, and she hasn't talked to him in like months. So then she tries to like write him on like her typewriter that she has, but she kind of just sticks it under her wardrobe, but then she realizes the letter literally like disappears. It's like magic and it like disappears. And then she gets a letter back, and it's not from her brother, it's from somebody else. And you find out pretty quickly, like it's literally on the back of the book, that it's from Roman Kit. She is kind of writing to Roman and not realizing it, and they kind of like find love through that. But also the book is like it is so much more than just that. It is such a good book. I rated that book 5 stars. I really, really loved it. And it was just such a good read. And I think that's why I'm scared to jump into this, because I love the first book so much and I just don't want it to get ruined in my head. But the ending of that book, now that I remember, the ending of that book was kind of crazy. So I'm gonna have to jump into this pretty soon, because I do want to know what happens. And this book, thank God, is just a duology. This is the last book, because I don't think I could do another crazy long series right now. Oh my goodness, there's so many books. Okay, set of books I have here are The Assassin's Blade and Third of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I'm currently reading ACOTAR right now, and I really like ACOTAR. I like the romance that's in it, but I have heard that this series is really good as well. So I just have the first 2 books. This book is about an assassin that's summoned to a castle. She has no love for the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but she has not come to kill him. She has come to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 murderers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Selena Saradothian. The crown prince will provoke her, the captain of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway country will befriend her, but something rotten dwells in the castle and is there to kill. When her competitors start dying mysteriously one by one, Selena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival, and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys the world. Funny enough, I don't think I've ever read the back of this book. But yeah, I'm excited to get to these eventually. I have no idea when. No idea. I'm just a little scared, because I feel like I still need to have romance and fantasy books to keep it like interesting. So I don't think this book has any romance in it at all. So I have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I got this, and this is for like, I'm gonna read this for like a video later on. I just don't know when. But I've heard there's not really a lot of romance in this book. But this book is about a girl named Jude, and she was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous high court of Fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more to belong there, but many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place at the court, Jude must defy him and face the consequences. So I know this is also a trilogy. I know that there are some people that don't like this series, and I know there's some people that absolutely love this series. So, and since it's about like princes and stuff, I might like it actually. Because I just love like reading about princes and princesses and just queens and kings, and I just love reading. I don't know why I like reading about it so much. It's just so interesting to me. Oh my gosh, I can finally move over. So now we are getting into my romance section, and there's a lot here. So I didn't really know what category to put this book into, but I have Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And I know that this book is mostly like a literary fiction, but it does have a little bit of a subplot of romance, at least is what I think. I got this book really recently. So this book is about 2 friends. They're often in love, but they're never lovers. But they decide to create a video game, and they become really rich because of this. Yeah, they create a video game, and overnight the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich, but these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years, from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California, and lands in between far beyond, Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow is a dazzling and exhilarating. That's what this book is about. I just don't really read a lot of literary fiction at all, so I don't know. And it's this book's really long with, oh my, this text. This can take me forever. I didn't really know what category to put this book into, but this is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. These 2 people are like serial killers, but they only kill bad people. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Salome and Rowan, they find something elusive: the friendship of 2 like-minded pitch-black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, and from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the 2 hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, their restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Can Rowan and Solone dig themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match? This book has a ton of trigger warnings, like a ton. And when I was reading them in my most recent book haul video, I was like, I'm really curious how I'll react to this book. So, did that say dick? I think yeah, 2 dicks. Okay. So, the next set of books that we have here are the Twisted series by Anna Huang. These are all like a group of friends, but like telling all their love stories. I feel like I'm gonna like Twisted Games the most because, again, I've heard it's about a princess. So for these books, I'm literally just gonna read the text that's at the top. So for Twisted Love, it says, he has a heart of ice, but for her, he'd burn the world. And then this one, Twisted Games, he can't have her, but he's taking her anyway. Okay, cool. Twisted Hate, he hates her almost as much as he wants her. Very interesting. And then Twisted Lies, he'll do anything to have her, including lie. I'm excited to read this series, and I do know that this series is also on Kindle Unlimited, which is awesome because I love reading on my Kindle. Oh, there's so many more books to go through. So I've been nervous to start this series because I'm just not really sure how I'll feel, but I am excited nonetheless. Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I do have both of the covers here. Which, can someone explain to me why they're very different sizes? Why do I keep opening a book and seeing penis? So this book, it's like the same text. I don't know. I don't really understand. So I had the first book, but then the new covers came out, and I love the new covers so much more. And look at this. This book is so floppy, and I just really appreciate that so much. Like, Chloe Walsh knows what she's doing when it comes to books, because the floppier the better, like literally. So this book is about Johnny Kavanaugh. He has everything going for him. On the rugby pitch, he's a force to be reckoned with, even plagued with a hidden injury. Everyone knows he's headed straight for the top, but that means there's no room for mistakes or distractions. Not even the shy new girl at Tom in college, the one with the sad eyes and the concealed bruises. He needs to stay focused, keep his cool, and not let anything get in the way of the bigger picture. Except before he knows it, this lonely girl has become his only picture. And life has never been easy for Shannon Lynch. Bullied and tortured, she arrives at Tom in college midway through the year, praying for a fresh start and desperate to shake off the demons that plague her. But when she meets the notorious Johnny Kavanaugh on her first day, her plans to keep a low profile are at serious risk. As they fall into a complicated friendship and grapple their undeniable chemistry, hidden pain and complicated secrets threaten to be their undoing, but Johnny won't give up on Shannon, no matter what it might cost them both. And I also have 2 covers of the same book. I have Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I was not gonna buy this cover, but for some reason, the size of this one bothers me. Like, it's so big. So Magnolia Parks is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved, and mildly neurotic London socialite. BJ Ballantyne is Britain's most notorious and photographed bad boy who broke her heart. These two are meant to be, and everyone knows it. Magnolia and BJ are written in the stars, suspended in a strange kind of love that looks like hurting each other a lot of the time. She dates other people to keep him at bay. He sleeps with other girls to get back at her for it. But at the end of their ever-sad endeavor to get over one another, it's still each other they crawl back to. Finally, after years of this, their dysfunction is catching up with them, pulling at their seams and fraying the world that they've built, but they're not ready to let go, not yet at least. As the cracks start to show and their secrets begin to surface, Magnolia and BJ are forced to face the formidable question they've been avoiding all their lives. How many loves do you really get in a lifetime? I've heard so many like good things about this series, and I've heard that it's just a super toxic relationship, and I don't know if I'm ready for that, honestly. So I'm just really nervous to get into this world. I just don't know if I'm gonna like it. But along with this, I also decided to pick up the Daisy Haight book. These two take place in like the same world. And so it's this book first, and then it's this book, and then it's another Magnolia Parks book, and then it's a Daisy Haight book, And then it's another Magnolia Parks book, I think. But Daisy Hates is a princess of London's most notorious family, raised by her older brother Julian, a London gang lord. After their parents were murdered in front of them 12 years ago, Daisy has never lived beyond his watchful gaze. Julian's line of work means that Daisy's life is complicated, and things don't become any less complex when she falls hard for Christian hymns, the beautiful and emotionally unavailable boy she's been involved with for the past few months, who also happens to be one of the few men in London who doesn't answer to Julian. Christian's life is no walk in the park either. Being in love with Magnolia Parks, his best friend's girlfriend, and okay, wait. He's happy enough to use Daisy as to disguise his true affections. That is, until she starts to infiltrate those two. Already off the bat, she's a princess. So I feel like I'm gonna like Daisy Hates more, but that's crazy. Okay, that already sounded so messy, but I'm kind of here for it. Okay, I'm gonna try to be quicker about all these books because I feel like I've been talking so much. The next book I have here is Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman. So everyone wants to know everything about her and her boyfriend, Ryan, the hottest member of the adored boy band Crush Zone. One unforgettable night is all it takes to blow up Katie's relationship with Ryan, her career, and her whole life. This is told in a then and now perspective. So it says, now Kathleen Rosenberg is okay with her ordinary existence and leaving her pop star image in the past. That is until Cal Kirby shows up with the opportunity of Kathleen's dreams, a starring role in the Broadway show he's directing and a chance to perform the way she's always wanted. The two haven't spoken since the joint destruction of their careers. Reluctantly agreeing to the musical, Kathleen keeps her guard up around Cal, but rehearsals are long, those eyes still smolder, and those hands are still very good. Okay, despite everything, Kathleen can't deny the chemistry between them. Is it ever a good idea to reignite old flames, especially if you've already been burned? Are you kidding me? Okay, and the next book I have is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Theo. I've heard this book is really sad. So this book is about 17-year-old Julie Clark has her future all planned out, move out of her small town with her boyfriend, Sam, attend college in the city, spend a summer in Japan, but then Sam dies and everything changes. Heartbroken, Julie skips his funeral, throws out his belongings, and tries everything to forget him. But a message Sam left behind in her yearbook forces memories to return. Desperate to hear him one more time, Julie calls Sam's cell phone just to listen to his voicemail recording. And then Sam picks up the phone. The connection is temporary, but hearing Sam's voice makes Julie fall for him all over again. And with each call, it becomes harder to let him go. What would you do if you had a second chance at goodbye? The cover is just so pretty. So I actually got this book from Books A Million not that long ago because it was on sale for $6. So this is Places We've Never Been by Casey West. I read Sunkissed by her and I really, really loved it. So I figured why not pick this one up. So this book is about Nora Simmons. It has a summer road trip about to happen and it's going to be absolutely perfect. She's leaving California for the first time in her life. She's interviewing at her dream college, the place for video game animators, and she's reconnecting with her childhood friend, Skylar Hutton, the boy who taught her to draw, the boy she still hasn't forgotten about all these years. What could go wrong? Cue the RV filled with 3 siblings, 2 moms, 1 bathroom, and years of memories. And suddenly this trip isn't quite the vacation Nora was hoping for, especially when Skylar makes it clear he would rather be anywhere else. But Nora isn't one to give up without a fight, and as families travel from desert heat to mountain vista and sparks begin to fly between the 2 ex-best friends, after all, friendship doesn't just fade away, does it? So, friends to enemies to lovers. And I love Casey West's writing so much. She's a really good like YA author. Everything flows so fast. I just love her books so much. So the next book I have is Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. So I got this book from Target. I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about it. But this book is about Farley Jones. She's a stand-up comedian on the way to stardom, and the only thing she loves more than the rush of telling jokes in front of an audience is her hot older manager, Meyer, though he doesn't have a clue. Keeping her feelings hidden from him is agony, but Meyer has been Farley's closest and most treasured friend, not to mention vital to the trajectory of her career. She can't risk ruining the relationship by telling him how she truly feels. A former stand-up star himself, single father Meyer Harrington left the stage years ago in order to focus on raising his deaf daughter Hazel. Farley has been everything to them since she came into their lives 3 years ago, and despite his grumpiness, his protectiveness over Hazel, and his disdain for public attention, Meyer I keep saying his name weird. The biggest opportunity of Farley's career comes along and forces their pair to fake date in order to stir up publicity. It doesn't take long for their act to bring all those funny feelings out in the open. Like most matters of the heart, it quickly begins to feel anything but a joke. Yeah, so it's fake dating, and this cover is just so, it's so pretty. It's so nice. And the next book I have that I'm so shocked I haven't read yet, Better Than the Movies by Len Painter. I already know I'm gonna eat this book up. The back already sounds so good. I'm definitely gonna read this for a video coming up soon-ish, kind of, I think. So this book is about Liz, and she's always known that Wes Bennett was not boyfriend material. You would think that her next door neighbor would be a prime candidate for her romantic comedy fantasies, but Wes has only proven himself to be a pain in the butt ever since they were little. Flash forward 10 years. It's Liz's senior year, time meant to be rife with milestones perfect for any screen, and she needs Wes's help. See, Liz's forever crush Michael has just moved back into town, and horribly, annoyingly, he's hitting it off with Wes, meaning that if Liz wants Michael to finally notice her and hopefully be her prom date, she needs Wes, he's her in. But as Liz and Wes scheme to get Liz her magical prom moment, she's shocked to discover that she actually likes being around Wes, and as they continue to grow closer, she must re-examine everything she thought she knew about love and rethink her own perception of what happily ever after should really look like. So I know the next book to this is coming out fairly soon, and I'm so excited to read it, and I think I'll like fly through this book. And I love Len Painter's YA books. I don't really like her adult books because I read The Love Wager by her, and that was like her adult book, but I didn't like it as much. But then I read The Do-Over by her. I love that book so much. I just think she's much better at the YA books, the YA romance books, and yeah, so I know I'm gonna love this. I'm really wondering if this is gonna be a 5-star. The next book I have is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I got this book before the new covers came out, and I kind of wish I waited just a little bit longer because I don't like the cover that much. Sky, she's a senior in high school. She meets Dean Holder, a guy with a reputation that rivals her own. From their very first encounter, he terrifies and captivates her. Something about him sparks memories of her deeply troubled past, a time she's tried so hard to bury. Though Sky's determined to stay far away from him, his smile breaks down her defenses and the intensity of the bond between them grows. But the mysterious Holder has been keeping secrets of his own, and once they are revealed, Sky is changed forever, and her ability to trust may be a casualty of the truth. So I don't think there's a second book to this. I think maybe there is a second book in like Dean's point of view, but I'm not too sure. And the next book that I'm kind of scared to read is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I feel like this book will be really good and like really heartwarming. I've heard it was a really good romance book, and I don't know, that just kind of makes me nervous because it was one of the top 100 romance novels of all time on Goodreads. So the back says, I wanted to lose myself in the small town of Pelham, Maine, to forget everything I had left behind, the sound of rain, the blood, the coldness of a gun against my skin. For 6 months, each breath has been a reminder that I survived and my dad didn't. But the moment I met Archer Hale, my entire world tilts on its axis, and it never rights itself again. And until I trespass into his strange, silent, and isolated world, Archer communicates with no one, yet in his whiskey-colored eyes, something intangible happens between us. There's so much more to him than just his beauty, his presence, or the ways his hands communicate with me, on me. On me. Was that necessary? But this town is mirrored in secrets and betrayals, and Archer is the explosive center of it all. So much passion and so much hurt, but it's in Archer's silence that we might just find out what we need to heal and to live. Is this spicy? Okay, and honestly, this book, I have no idea if I'm ever gonna read it. I've had it for years. Stay Sweet by Siobhan Vivian. So it's about a girl named Amelia, and she's been working at the ice cream shop, and it's been like all girls. And then Grady Mead, the grandnephew of the stand's founder, arrives unexpectedly to take over the business. Grady's presence threatens everything Amelia wants to protect: the ice cream stand, her friendship, and most inconveniently, her heart. I mean, it sounds fine and cute. I've had it for so long. I just don't know if I'm gonna read it. I should just read it. The next 2 books I have that kind of go together are Lovelight Farms and In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. Lovelight Farms, I meant to read it around Christmas, but I just didn't get the chance to. But this is 2 best friends' fake date to reach their holiday happily ever after. In an effort to save the Christmas tree farm she's loved since she was a kid, Stella enters a contest with the Instagram famous influencer Evelyn St. James. With the added publicity and the $100,000 cash prize, Stella might just be able to save the farm from its financial woes. But there's just one problem. To make the farm seem like a romantic destination for the holidays, she lied on her application and said she owns Love Light Farms with her boyfriend. Only, there is no boyfriend, and her best friend Luca Peters. He just stopped by for some hot chocolate and somehow got a farm and a serious girlfriend in the process. But fake dating his best friend might be the best Christmas present he's ever received? Wait, that's so cute. Instagram famous influencer Evelyn St. James in this book is actually the main character in this book. So Evelyn St. James isn't the kind of woman you forget. Beckett Porter certainly hasn't. One incredible weekend in Maine and he's officially a man distracted. He's not unfamiliar with hot and heavy flings, but Evie wove some sort of magic over him during their tumble in the sheets. He can't stop thinking about her laugh, her hand pressed flat against his chest, her smiling mouth at his neck. Okay, I get it. So when she suddenly appears on his farm as part of a social media contest, he is confused. He had no idea that the sweet and sexy woman he met at the bar is actually a global phenomenon. When Evie disappears again, Beckett resolves to finally move on. But Evie, who has been feeling disconnected from her work and increasingly dissatisfied with life online, is trying to find her way back into something real. She returns to the last place she was happy, Love Light Farms and the tiny town of Inglewild, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the hot farmer she spent 2 unforgettable nights with. That sounds so cute. Wow, these are actually really connected to each other. That is so fun. I'm almost done. Okay, the next book I have is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. So this book is about 2 characters named Autumn and Finn, and they used to be inseparable, but then something changed, or they changed. Now they do their best to ignore each other. Autumn has her boyfriend Jamie and her close-knit group of friends. Finn has become that boy at school, the one that everyone wants to be around. That still doesn't stop the way Autumn feels every time she and Finn cross paths, and the growing, nagging thought that maybe things could have been different, maybe they should be together. And as time passes, Autumn realizes she might not get another chance to make things right before it's too late. I've heard this book was sad. Okay, and the next book I have is Maybe This Time by Casey West. As you guys know, I love Casey West so much. Her writing is so easy to go through. It says, name the occasion, and Sophie Evans will be there. Well, she has to be there. Sophie works for the local florist, so she's at every big event in her small hometown, arranging bouquets and managing drama. Enter Andrew Hart, the son of the fancy new chef in town. Andrew is required to attend all the same events as Sophie. Entitled Arrogant Andrew, at least that's what Sophie sees. Everyone else seems to be enchanted by his supposed charm. Sophie just wants to get her job done and finish her sketches so she can apply to design school. But every time she turns around, there's Andrew, getting in her way and making her life more complicated. Until one day, she wonders if maybe complicated isn't so bad after all. This is a story told over the course of 1 year and following Sophie from event to event. And the next book I have here is Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. I got this book for my birthday from one of my friends. I'm really excited to read this book because if you don't know, I used to play golf a lot, and I kind of want to get back into playing golf, but that's besides the point. But this is a golf romance. Wells Whittaker was once golf's rising hottest star, but lately all he has to show for his promising career is a killer hangover, a collection of broken clubs, and one remaining supporter. No matter how bad he plays, the beautiful sunny redhead is always on the sidelines. He curses, she cheers, he scowls, she smiles. But then Wells quits in a blaze of glory, and his fangirl finally goes home. He knows he's made the greatest mistake of his life. Josephine Doyle believed in the gorgeous, grumpy golfer even when he didn't believe in himself. Yet after he throws in the towel, she begins to wonder if her faith was misplaced. Then a determined Wells shows up at her door with a wild proposal: be his new caddy, help him turn his game around, and split the prize money. And considering Josephine's professional and personal life is in shambles, she could really use the cash. As they travel together, spending days on the greens and nights in the neighboring hotel rooms, sparks fly. Before long, they're inseparable. Wells starts winning again, and Josephine is surprised to find a sweet, thoughtful guy underneath his gruff, growly exterior. But Wells is technically her boss, and an athlete falling for his fangirl would be ridiculous, right? So excited. I've never read a Tessa Bailey book before, and I know she has like a ton of books, so I'm really excited to get into this, and I just appreciate so much that it's about golf. It's about golf! Okay, I've read almost all of Ali Hazelwood's books with the exception of Bride, but this is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. So this book is about a girl named Elsie Hanaway. She's a professor toiling away at grading labs and teaching thermodynamics in the hopes of landing tenure, but other days Elsie makes up for her non-existent paycheck by offering her services as a fake girlfriend, tapping into her expertly honed people-pleasing skills to embody whichever version of herself the client needs. Honestly, it's a pretty sweet gig, until her carefully constructed Elsieverse comes crashing down because Jack Smith, the annoyingly attractive and arrogant older brother of one of her favorite clients, turns out to be the cold-hearted experimental physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermined the reputation of theorists everywhere. And he's the same Jack Smith who rules over the physics department at MIT, standing right between Elsie and her dream job. Elsie is prepared for an all-out war of scholarly sabotage, but those long penetrating looks, not having to be anything other than her true self when she's with him, will falling into an experimentalist's orbit finally tempt her to put her most guarded theories on love into practice. I'm really getting, I'm getting tongue-tied now because I've read the back of so many books. So first of all, this cover, I love. This is probably my favorite cover. This is like I love the colors. Anyway, this sounds really, really good. I'm so excited to read this because it's about fake dating and I really, really love that. And yeah. Okay, another sad book. I think this is a sad book, but I'm not really sure. I have 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. The back, it says, "One boy, one girl, a bond that is forged in an instant and cherished for a decade. A bond that neither time nor distance can break. A bond that will last forever, or so they believe. When 17-year-old Rune Christensen returns from his native Norway to the sleepy town of Blossom Grove, Georgia, where he befriended Poppy Litchfield as a child, he has just one thing on his mind. Why did the girl who was one half his soul, who promised to wait faithfully for his return, cut him off without a word of explanation? Rune's heart was broken 2 years ago when Poppy fell silent. But when he discovers the truth of her absence, he finds that the greatest heartache is yet to come." This sounds sad. I'm scared. Okay, I have two Christmas. I feel like I've totally messed up the piles here, but this is still this is still romance. It's just Christmas romance books. So I have two here. I have All I Want for Christmas and I have The Christmas Wager. The Christmas Wager is about when LA-based real estate developer Bella Ross arrives in the sleepy mountain town of Maple Falls. She has one mission: to acquire the local failing Christmas shop. Always Noel, securing the promotion of her dreams, nothing can get in her way, except the shop owner's stubborn grandson, Jesse Harrison. Both refuse to budge till an unlikely wager is struck. Bella and Jesse will compete in the Maple Falls Holiday Games, an annual tradition of eccentric feats and strengths and skills. Winner decides the selling price. They'll each give each other a run for their money, but as the competition heats up, Bella and Jesse's icy feelings towards one another begins to thaw. It'll take a Christmas miracle for them to admit there's a spark, but what if it's just another game? Sorry if the camera moved a little bit. My phone is literally dying and I had to plug it in. So All I Want for Christmas is about Sadie and Max are selected as contestants on the famed reality singing show Star Maker. Each thinks they've finally gotten their big Nashville break, but then they're paired up for a duet week and stun the world with their romantic onstage chemistry. With fans going wild for #Zaxi, the network demands that they remain a duo on and off stage or exit the competition. Faking a relationship until their final performance in the Star Maker holiday special shouldn't be too hard, except for one small problem: Sadie and Max can't stand each other. But with their dreams just within reach, they agree to the ruse. Will their fake relationship be exposed before they can win, or might their phony connection turn real by the Christmas finale? That sounds so cool. I love that it's about singing, and also it takes place in Nashville, and I live really close to Nashville, so I just thought that was super fun. You should see the pile of books on my floor right now. That's crazy. So the next book I have is Flawless by Elsie Silver. So this is a series, and I don't think you really have to read them in order. And these books are also in Kindle Unlimited, and I'm really excited to get into this world because I know it's country, and I live in the South, so I think it'll be really exciting to read. So I'm just gonna read the quick thing on the back that they have. The rules were simple: keep his hands off his agent's daughter and stay out of trouble. But now he's stuck with her. There's only one bed, and well, rules are made to be broken. It's about Rhett Eaton. He's a professional bull rider, and his agent's daughter is sent to keep an eye on him. Anyway, I'm excited to get into this world because I think it's about the Eaton boys, and I think there's is there 3 of them? I'm not sure. I don't remember. And the next book we have here is Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and I'm actually going to be reading this soon because the next book, Daydream, is coming out very, very soon, and I read Icebreaker and I loved it. So this book is about, at a party celebrating the end of the academic year, Maple Hill students Russ Callahan and Aurora Roberts have a passionate one-night stand. Never one to overstay her welcome, Aurora slips away before Russ even has the chance to ask for her full name. Days later, they run into each other in their new jobs as summer camp counselors, hoping to escape their complicated home lives. Russ knows breaking the camp's strict no-staff fraternizing rule will have him heading back to Maple Hills before summer is over. But unfortunately for him, Aurora has never been very good at caring about the rules. I've heard that this book is not as good as Icebreaker, but I am excited to learn more about Russ. And the next book I have is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. The reason why I got this book is because I've heard it was a lot like Love in Other Words. It says, they say you can never go home again. And for Persephone Fraser, ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life a decade ago, she has felt too true. Instead of spending glittering summers on the lakeshore of her childhood, she stays home in a stylish apartment in the city, keeping everyone at a safe distance from her heart. Until she receives the call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into orbit of Sam Forek, the man she never thought she'd have to live without. For 6 summers, through hazy afternoons on the water and warm summer nights working in his family's restaurant, Percy and Sam had been inseparable. Eventually that friendship turned into something more before it fell spectacularly apart. When Percy returns to the lake for Sam's mother's funeral, their connection is as undeniable as it has always been. But until Percy can confront their decisions she's made, they'll never know whether their love is bigger than the biggest mistakes of their past. So this is told over the course of 6 years and 1 weekend. Wow. And the next book I have, which I think this is kind of a romance, but I know it's also sad. I have All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. So I know this is also a Netflix film, so I'm excited to read this book and then watch the film. And I've heard this book was kind of sad, so. When Finch and Violet meet on the ledge of the bell tower at school, 6 stories above the ground, it's unclear who saves whom. Soon, it's only Violet that Finch can be himself. And it's only with Finch that Violet forgets to count away the days and starts living them. But as Violet's world grows, Finch's begins to shrink. Oh, that sounds sad. I don't want to read sad books. I do, though. I want a book to make me cry, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at not crying in books. So I'm really curious that if a book will make me cry. And the next book I have here is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I have no idea what this book is about. I've heard people like this book and it's fairly short. So Fallon meets Ben, an aspiring novelist, the day before her scheduled cross-country move. Their untimely attraction leads them to spend Fallon's last day in LA together, and her eventful life becomes the creative inspiration Ben has always sought out for his novel. Over time, amidst the various relationships and tribulations of their own separate lives, they continue to meet on the same date every year. Until one day, Fallon becomes unsure if Ben has been telling her the truth or fabricating a perfect reality for the sake of the ultimate plot twist. Can Ben's relationship with Fallon and simultaneously his novel be considered a love story if it ends in heartbreak? I think they meet like every year on November 9th. I think that's how this is told. That's crazy. Okay, and the next book I have, which is like a pretty thick book, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I think this book is like her #1 best-selling book. So this book is about a girl named Lily, and she hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. She's come a long way from the small town in Maine where she grew up. She graduated college, moved to Boston, and started her own business. So when she feels a spark with the gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid, everything in Lily's life suddenly seems almost too good to be true. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, maybe even a little arrogant. He's also sensitive, brilliant, has a total soft spot for Lily, but Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing. As questions about her new relationship overwhelm her, so do thoughts of Atlas Corrigan, her first love and link to the past she's left behind. When Atlas suddenly reappears, everything Lily has built with Ryle is threatened. With this bold and deeply personal novel, Colleen Hoover delivers a heart-wrenching story, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I think this is gonna become a movie or something. I'm not really sure. We're almost done. Since I'm listing a lot of Colleen Hoover books, the next book I have is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I actually did pull this to read it, and I'm really nervous to read this book, and I've had it for a very long time. Okay, so on the back of this book, it says it's not exactly love at first sight for Tay Collins when she meets tormented and secretive Miles Archer. They wouldn't even go so far as to consider themselves friends. The only thing Tate and Miles have in common is a mutual physical attraction that can't be denied. Once their desires are out in the open, they realize they might have stumbled on the perfect no-strings arrangement. He isn't looking for love, and she doesn't have time for it, so that just leaves sex. What they've got could be surprisingly satisfying as long as Tate can stick to the 2 rules Miles has for her. Never ask about the past, and don't expect a future. They think they can handle it, but everything is different when real emotions start to change the equation. I have heard mixed things about this, so I'm excited to see how I feel about it. Like, very mixed things about it. And honestly, I feel like Colleen Hoover is a very controversial author, so I'm really interested to see my take on all of her books. So the next book I have here is Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West. I have read this before, but it's on my physical TBR because I'm going to read it again, because this was like my first 5-star read, and I want to see if it's a 5-star again. So when Gia Montgomery's boyfriend, Bradley, dumps her in the parking lot of her high school prom, she has to think fast. After all, she'd been telling her friends about him for months now. This was supposed to be the night she proved he existed, so when she sees a cute guy waiting to pick up his sister, she enlists him to help. The task is simple: be her fill-in boyfriend, 2 hours, 0 commitment, a few white lies. After that, she can win back the real Bradley. The problem is that days after the prom, it's not the real Bradley she's been thinking about, but the stand-in. The one whose name she doesn't even know. But tracking him down doesn't mean they're done faking a relationship. Gia owes him a favor. His sister intends to see that he collects. His ex-girlfriend's graduation party. 0 commitment, a few white lies. Just when Gia begins to wonder if she could turn her fake boyfriend into a real one, Bradley comes waltzing back into her life, exposing her lying and threatening to destroy her friendships and her newfound relationship. This book was so good when I read it, and I'm so excited to read it again. And I feel like I'm gonna binge this. I feel like I can just sit and finish it in one sitting. So I'm really excited. And we are finally down to our final books, and I am so excited to read all of these and really understand the hype. So I have all of Emily Henry's books: People We Meet on Vacation, Beach Read, Book Lovers, and Happy Place. People We Meet on Vacation is falling. So People We Meet on Vacation is about 2 best friends, 10 summer trips, 1 chance to fall in love. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm not gonna get too much into it because I'm sure all of you guys know what this book is about, but I've heard mixed things about this book in particular, but I know that this book was definitely the most popular out of all of Emily Henry's books. And the next book we have is Beach Read by Emily Henry, and it says on the back, Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Then one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen their next great American novel. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love. Really. And then the next book I have by Emily Henry is Book Lovers, and I've heard a lot of good things about this as well. And this book, it's on the back, it says, One summer, 2 rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming. Nora Stevens' life is books. She's read them all. She's not that type of heroine, not the plunky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved sister Libby, which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August, when Libby begs for a sister's trip away, with visions of a small town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics in meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or bulging 4-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact they've met many times and it's never been cute. Nora knows she's not an ideal heroine. Charlie knows he's nobody's hero. But as they are thrown together again and again in a series of coincidences no editor worth their salt would allow, what they discover might just unravel their carefully crafted stories they've written about themselves. And finally, the last book I have, Happy Place by Emily Henry. This one is about Harriet and Wynne. They have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls. Except for now, for reasons they're not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friends, which is how they find themselves sharing a bedroom at the main cottage that has been their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade. Only this year, Harriet and Wynne are lying through their teeth while trying not to notice how desperately they still want each other, because the cottage is for sale and this is the last week all have together in this place. After years of being in love, how hard can it be to fake it? Oh, and I forgot one. Oh my god, there's one more. There's one more. One more. I forgot to grab it, and I can do it. I'm so tired right now. Okay, the last book I have is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I do think this book does have a book before it called The Soulmate Equation, but I don't think you have to read them in order. But this book is about the sparks flying when a romance novelist and a documentary filmmaker join forces to craft the perfect Hollywood love story, but only if they can keep their chemistry between them from taking the whole thing off script. Felicity Chen is lost. Sure, she's got an incredible career as a beloved romance novelist with a slew of bestsellers under her belt, but when she's asked to give a commencement address, it hits her. She hasn't been practicing what she's preached. Live your life like a romance novel? Felicity hasn't ever been in love. Lust, definitely. But the swoon-worthy, can't stop thinking about him, all-encompassing feeling she describes in her books? Nope, never. Connor Prince, documentary filmmaker and single father, loves his work because it allows him to live near his daughter. But when his profit-minded boss orders him to create a reality TV show, Connor is out of his element and concerned for his professional reputation. Desperate to find a hook that will set his project apart from the myriad of dating shows already on air, he finds the perfect solution after an encounter with his ex-wife's favorite author. What if he could show the queen of romance herself falling head over heels for all the world to see? Whoa. I mean, that sounds really interesting, actually, and this cover is so cute. Anyway, that is the end of this video. If you guys have stuck around for the end, oh my gosh, you're crazy. But also, thank you so much for watching, and I'm definitely going on a book buying ban, and I actually need to count because I don't even know how many books I have. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Wait, before, let me show you my floor before the video. No!